Software engineers are not burned out. They're just lazy. With the signs and some of the things I'm going to talk about in this video, you'll be able to tell if you're genuinely burned out or if you're just a lazy goods. Software engineers are not burned out. They're just lazy. A software engineer writes scripts to automate processes. They explore shortcuts, algorithms, and techniques to minimize unnecessary steps. How else do you define lazy, right? But the truth is that is the good kind of lazy. And I'm sure you guys already knew that. Now, there's the bad kind of lazy, which a lot of people feel guilty about when they are burned out. And that is what I want to talk about today. If you're like me and you get burned out a lot, sometimes it's helpful when you can identify the signs, like when you can know when you're burned out versus when you're just lazy. They're definitely two different things. They're not the same at all. But sometimes the lines can be blurry between, identifying whether you're lazy or just burned out, especially as a software engineer. If you're new here, my name is Susan. I'm a software engineer based in Canada, and I talk about thriving in a tech career. I also discuss things like negotiations, getting promoted, dealing with coworkers, and stuff like that. And I hope that you find this video helpful. Now, there's actually a lot of overlap between being burned out and being lazy, and so it sometimes gets hard to differentiate between both. As much as being burned out is a real thing, you would hear a lot of people complain and give every silly excuse to name the word burnout, right? Meaning that some people aren't exactly burned out. They think they are, and sometimes it's hard to tell who is really burned out or not. But with the signs and some of the things I'm going to talk about in this video, you'll be able to tell if you're genuinely burned out or if you're just a lazy goods. I like this definition of burnout because it really explains basically what burnout is about. You'll notice here that burnout is majorly caused by excessive and prolonged stress. That is the thing that really stands out about burnout. On the other hand though, I like this definition of laziness. I'm not sure why I like it, but it really drives home the point. And I think it really shows the clear distinction there between burnout and laziness. In the case of laziness, there's a disinclination towards work, right? And while that is sometimes the case and a symptom, this disinclination in burnout occurs as a result of stress. Enough of all this English and all the grammars. So now we're going to talk about the things that count as burnout. So yeah, you're going to check from this list. You're going to be able to tell, have I been burned out all along? I'm just plain lazy. The first is that you do not feel like yourself. And I think this is one of the first things that you see when you're actually burned out. The fact that you notice a clear difference, like you used to be all giddy about what you're doing, passionate, you had the drive, you would typically be happy about what you're doing, but you notice that is no longer there, or that is slowly diminishing, right? You'll begin to notice that there's a clear difference between how you were and how you are now. That is usually one of the first signs of being burned out. Now, this is not always the case where you just notice a difference in yourself and then that is automatically burned out. No, most times it is usually linked to stress, being stressed about something. So being stressed about a feature you're working on, a bug you're dealing with, a colleague at work. So yeah, this is usually one of the first signs that you would see when you're burned out. Now, as you can tell, this is very different from a lazy person, because a lazy person is literally the same. They don't feel different. It's not like, oh, I was passionate yesterday and I'm now not passionate anymore. The passion was, never really there. Or it was probably there for the first 5 seconds and they decided they continued enjoying life and stuff. So the point is that the clear difference between being burned out and being lazy in this case is that the burned out person can tell that there's a clear difference because there used to be passion, drive, motivation for what they were doing, but the lazy person just can't relate. Now, the second thing, which I also mentioned in the first part, is that your motivation fades, and this is really common, and this can be due to a lot of factors. It can be due to the fact that you no longer experience a good work-life balance, you're experiencing some criticism at work, you are dealing with a micromanaging boss, you are dealing with a project that you're no longer excited about. It could be a lot of things, right? I wouldn't call something burnout until I notice a pattern right? I notice I'm constantly feeling a particular way for a period of time, then I will target burnout. But these days, I feel like a lot of people just throw burnout out the door. Like, you just feel a little headache, or you've stared at your screen for like 5 hours non-stop, and you're like, oh, I'm burned out. Sis, you're not burned out. You just need to get some sleep, okay? Now, I think this one is really important, and it happens a lot, like a whole lot. It is feeling the need to overwork. Usually people do this when they feel guilty about not putting in enough as a result of demotivation. And then they try to work harder to make up for the fact that they feel guilty about not putting in enough. It happens a lot. I have experienced this personally, right? And I think that it is also a clear sign that you're burned out. Maybe you feel guilty just because you're not motivated about the work. Even if you're doing the work, right? You might feel guilty, so you're trying to make up by doing every possible thing, meet it, like surpassing deadlines. The work is due in 2 weeks, you finish it in 3 days. So things like that are also a sign that you need to watch it. You could be burned out. And the next one is lack of satisfaction. This is typical. You no longer feel necessarily impressed about what you're doing. You don't feel fulfilled in a sense. You're just like winging it, basically, right? And this is usually a clear sign. It typically spirals from demotivation. Once you get demotivated, you no longer get impressed with what you do, right? So I think it's definitely a sign of being burned out. The next and the final one, though, is social withdrawal. I think this one is pretty common, especially for engineers. Typically, many engineers are introverted. I have a video talking about introverted engineers on my channel. You can check it out. Typically, engineers are introverted, and so they might not necessarily notice the social withdrawal, because on a normal day, an engineer is not social. Most engineers are not social. Well, I feel like I'm generalizing here. Maybe I should be speaking for myself, but if a handful, a couple, a number of engineers are not that social. Like, you will typically find an engineer more comfortable at home doing their own thing and not necessarily being out there. But that is why this symptom is hard to recognize, because once an engineer starts experiencing social withdrawals, like being more comfortable, not hanging out with friends or family, not doing stuff that they would generally enjoy doing, then that is also a sign, because they might be finding more solace in being alone, or just more comfort, or just be more comfortable being alone at the time because of the emotional stress they're dealing with at work, right? So those are some of the signs that you should look out for to identify that you're being burned out. Now, let's talk about the things you should do. I know a lot of you already know some of the things you should do, but I'm not going to assume that everybody knows. The first and most common thing that you definitely want to do is to take breaks. When you start noticing these things, take your day off, take your vacation days. So I know that it's not easy for some people, because for like a lot of people still have limited time off, like days that you can take time off. So it might not be easy for you to just decide to take the day off, but if you can, please do, because your health is very important, especially your mental health. It is so important that you take breaks. So if you can take breaks even during the day. If you're working from the office, if you have to come into the office, try to take breaks when you have your lunch breaks. Even if it's a walk and everything, if you're working from home, try to take a break away from your screen. Also, find a hobby. If it's like a gym class, I just started attending Zumba. Oh my goodness. Like, if you can attend Zumba, please do. I never knew I was a dancer. Like, I'm being so wild at my dancing skills. Yeah, but like, I think attending Zumba has really improved like my mood and like my just like generally how I feel the days that I go for it, and even other days that I don't like go for it. So get a hobby. If it's like playing tennis, I'm looking to learn how to play tennis, so yeah, that's also a thing. But like, if you can, just do something fun. It might not even necessarily be something that will cost you, right? Like, even if it's just like sitting back home to watch a movie with your family, or play like Ludo, whatever game, play a game, like just do something that's different from staring at your screen, guys. Like, really, these are some of the ways that you can combat burnout for sure. Definitely exercise and sleep, like this goes without saying. make sure that you get as much sleep as you can get. Okay, maybe not as much sleep, but like the recommended, like I feel like right now there are so many people talking about the number of hours of sleep you can get, so it's not really clear what the right number is for every individual, but you know what works for you and you know how much sleep your body needs. So try to get enough sleep and try to exercise a couple times a week. And I think those are like the common things that you should pay attention to. For sure, like the less common things would be, I mean, if in a situation, for example, where you're going through you're dealing with difficulty at work, maybe you're in a toxic workspace, you are experiencing a micromanaging boss. This is a situation that a lot of people go through. I would say try to have healthy boundaries if you can. Try to protect your space. Try to if you're working from home, it's way easier to have healthy boundaries, I believe. If you're not, that might be a bit harder, but as much as possible, just try to have your own healthy boundaries if you can. And yeah, like if you can as well, also be looking out for other opportunities. If you're in a toxic work environment, definitely something you should be doing. I know that this might be a hard time for software engineers right now because of the layoffs and all, but I promise you there are still a lot of companies that are hiring engineers for sure. So this is surely something to think about. Please don't ignore burnout. Some people just push on and feel like they will feel better. No, it's not going to happen. Like if you feel burned out and you don't take active steps to relieve or to, recuperate or to feel better, it's just going to get worse. So as much as possible, try to handle the burnout. Prevent it, but if you get burned out, then try to deal with it. And also majorly try to find a way to distress. Don't forget that your health is way, 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 way more important than any job. So prioritize your health for sure. And yeah, that's it. I hope you guys learned something from this video. If you're new here, welcome and thank you for watching this video. Please do well to subscribe. And I did a video on identifying a toxic workspace. I think it's here. So please do well to watch that video. And I will see you in my next video. Bye.